Hello, this is the LEGO Architecture Skyline series depiction of Venice, or Venezia. And forgive me, I am American, so I have an American accent. The first landmark here is the Rialto Bridge, or Ponte di Rialto. And it's supposed to have arches, kind of a cascade of arches going all the way up to its center and then down to the other side. Very, very difficult to pull off in this scale without making it extraordinarily thick. And I think they did the best that they could. This is a very difficult shape to bring into this space. Certainly the space underneath the bridge is very nice. They got the little approximation of the river there, and it's nice how that fender piece, that wide fender piece, is used and gives a really nice shape to the main arch. This is the Basilica di San Marco, the St. Mark's Basilica, and I like what they did with the printed tile piece here on the front to give it some texture there, which is pretty appropriate. They kind of cut it off appropriately as well. This is kind of hidden behind a bit of a 1x2 panel piece here, so this whole assembly here is just buried down just a little bit, and there's almost no gap behind that, so that's actually done pretty nicely. The archways here are done pretty nicely. They got a suggestion of columns using the grill pieces there. This is pretty cool. Certainly it would be nice to get a little bit of printing in there or something, but I think that at this level of resolution, this is well represented, and I like what they've done with the choice of colors. You know, they're not entirely accurate colors throughout this set, but it gives a certain consistency that gives the entire set its own personality that stands out from the other Skyline series sets that they've done. Now this is the Campanile di San Marco, and I think that the use of the textured bricks along the side here is pretty perfect. This is kind of the observation deck area right here. A very difficult thing to pull off in this scale with any level of realism, because the real thing has 4 archways within that space, within just a narrow section of the center of that, and that's kind of, you know, where people can line up and look out across parts of the city. The designer chose to go with a near symmetry around the whole thing, so it has the indentation on each side, which I think makes sense, and I think that was a pretty good decision. Again, just tough to pull off, tough decision to make, but I think that this was well chosen. And this has one of 2 prints in the set. The other print, of course, being the nameplate that they always put on the front of these sets, but then the relief outside on one side of the area that has the bells within it is approximated with this kind of simplified down version of the relief that's actually there. It's actually, you know, a 3-dimensional object, but I think that's cool. Of course, it would have been nice to get printing on all sides of that brick, but you know, this is really mostly intended to be viewed from one side, and there is a little bit of a Art Deco kind of feeling to the entire set when you look at it, with just how it's been simplified down, how it's been rendered in Lego form. And I think that print actually does go well with the overall theme that goes across here, the overall visual treatment. These 2 things down here represent the columns and statues of St. Theodore and the Lion of Venice, and the ends of the clip piece there represent the wings on the Lion of Venice. They don't have any part that would work at this scale to give you any kind of real detail of the lion body itself, but this gets the general idea across, and they're facing in from the river. In reality, these are very close to the Campanile, not this close, not oriented quite this way, but I think this makes sense, what they've done with the positioning of it. And of course, I like those nano figures, so it's nice to get another one in just a plain color. The last thing here is the Bridge of Sighs, the Ponte dei Sospiri. And this, I think, is well represented with the sideways grill pieces in there to give you just the small windows, although this ends up creating 4. In reality, there are 2, but there's a little bit more detail on the thing. The shape of it makes sense, but The bridge itself isn't freestanding. It goes between two very large building structures. So this kind of looks like an archway just going on its own over a river. And I feel like it doesn't really capture the thing in context. I don't think that this really makes a good subject for this scale and this type of depiction just on its own. It's just my personal opinion. So another very difficult job for the designer. I do not envy the designers of these sets. It's so hard to make so many of the decisions. It's not just about scaling things down. They have to choose the landmarks, they have to choose the scale, the color scheme. The whole thing needs to make a good display just on its own, you know, for people who are only going to get one of these. The skylines have to look good against each other for people who are going to, you know, make a whole collection. They also need to look like they're from the same series and not from entirely different designers and from a different company. So making these small things is just really, really tough. And I don't agree necessarily with everything that's been done, but I definitely do respect the work and understand just how tough it is. And many of the things here I definitely do like, and I like the series on the whole. Let me know what you think about this and what you think about the individual structures represented here, if you have any familiarity with them, if you have anything that pops out to you that you particularly like or would prefer to have seen done differently. So thank you in advance for your feedback and thank you for your time. I'll be talking to you again soon.